Some nights consumers stay up, think about what they want. Some nights I think about psychographics. Some nights consumers think about where they live. Some nights I think about geographics. But I still wake up. I still see your consumer. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what consumers stand for. What do consumers stand for? What do consumers stand for? Most nights I don't know consumers anymore. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to finish off our consumer profiles and we're going to take a look at psychographics, geographics, and product use. So please make sure you get your notes out. Remember the STORM philosophy. Make sure you take down all the details, add a summary at the end of your notes, and a discussion question. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so what are we going to look at today? So we're going to revisit what a consumer profile is. Then we're going to break down the consumer profile into the other three categories in which we have yet to look at, which are psychographics, geographics, and product use. If we could give this a term, we would definitely call this biology. Alright, so what is a consumer profile again? Well, again, this is all about the fact that everyone has unique physical features, different personalities, different values, different beliefs, different geographic locations of where they live, and therefore different histories. All these differences are demonstrated by the daily decisions and behaviors that these consumers make. As a marketer, the more we know about our potential consumers, the better we are able to anticipate or influence their buying decisions. Therefore, we create consumer profiles. This is a profile of the kind of people most likely to be attracted to a specific product. This is not about who just buys the product. Anyone can buy a product, but who is the target? Each identified group of consumers with common characteristics and buying habits is called a consumer segment, which is accomplished through the process of segmentation or consumer profiling. Once identified, marketers will focus their efforts on trying to reach and influence these segments. For some products, there may be only one segment. For others, there may be multiple segments. For example, wedding gowns are definitely marketed towards females aged 20 to 30, those who are getting married. Right? That's the segment that wedding gown manufacturers target. Anyone can buy a wedding gown, however, the target are those females aged 20 to 30 getting married. Multiple segments, for example, Levi's jeans. Anyone can buy Levi's jeans, and Levi's jeans actually does target multiple segments. Teens, middle-aged, people like me, people like you, right? All these different segments are targeted by Levi's jeans. Categorizing potential consumers in this way enables marketers to direct their efforts towards a target market, a specific group of consumers who will be most interested in the product. Therefore, in order to come up with a consumer profile, we need to look at a consumer's demographics, psychographics, geographics, and product use. Putting these all together gives us a consumer profile, or a picture of our target market. So we've looked at demographics. How about psychographics, geographics, and product use? Well, let's start with psychographics. Psychographics is all about a measurement of a consumer's beliefs, opinions, and interests. It's really looking at the way consumers think. Religious beliefs, lifestyle, musical tastes, attitudes towards health, personality traits, other attitudes, all of these compose a consumer's psychographic profile. This is much less obvious than demographics, and therefore they're much harder to measure, yet they are vital in creating an effective customer profile or consumer profile. The way you think is much different from the way I think. The way I think is much different from the way my parents think, and my lifestyle and musical tastes and attitudes and all of those things differ from lots of other people. And so understanding all these differences will help marketers market more effectively to these specific consumers. Now I can describe this all I want, but the best way to really understand this is to simply look at the following people. Do all of these people share the common psychographics or psychographic characteristics? Do they share the same attitudes, opinions, beliefs, lifestyle? I would hazard to guess they actually do not. All of these teenagers are very, very different, not just in their demographic makeup, but their psychographic makeup as well. Are they into sports? Are they into certain kinds of music? Are they into a certain kind of lifestyle? Or do they like certain healthy activities more than others? All of these consumers therefore differentiate themselves based on their psychographic profiles. The next part of a consumer profile is geographics. Now this is all about where consumers live. Not only where they live in this world, different countries or different continents, but where they live within a country or within a province or a state. And so we're really focused as marketers on the idea of rural versus urban versus suburban. People who live in different places like this, rural versus urban versus suburban, have much different lifestyles than other people. The other part to geographics is that we can talk about pockets or concentrations of people. Right? If you look at Toronto, there's places like Little Italy, Little India, Chinatown. Right? These different pockets or concentrations have very different people in them. And therefore we also need to be concerned about these pockets or concentrations. If someone owns a tractor, most likely they are from rural Canada. If they eat Indian cuisine, most likely they are living in a concentration of people of Indian descent. If they like the Toronto Raptors, I almost guarantee they are people who live in urban areas. Not all the time, however, but it's, again, something connecting to their target market. It's who typically consumes these products. Again, the best way to really differentiate this is to look at the following visuals. The man on the left, do you think he lives in downtown Toronto? Look at the people on the right. Do you think they live in rural Alberta? No. People who live in different areas have different characteristics, traits, and therefore are different consumers. And therefore geographics plays an important role in marketing products. The last component of a consumer profile is product use. Now this is important as well because it's all about how frequently consumers use a specific type of product. We will categorize consumers into heavy users, medium users, light users, or non-users. If someone is a heavy user, then marketers attempt to create brand loyalty in those consumers because they are going out and using a specific product, not brand, a product over and over again. If marketers can somehow convince heavy users that their brand is best, then they will only buy their brand and buy a lot of it. So marketers have an excellent goal in convincing heavy users to accept their brand. If someone is a medium or a light user, marketers try to convert them into heavy users. So they're trying to convince them that you need to use their products more, that their products are better. And if they can do this, then again, there is profits to be made. Non-users are categorized into two different categories. The first categorization are those people or consumers who are entering the product category for the first time. Therefore, marketers need to concern themselves with attracting them to enter their product category, to try out their product for the first time, and hopefully they will repeat their purchases later on. The second categorization are those who do not plan on using the products in the category whatsoever. Therefore, marketers need to change their attitudes. And again, if we can connect it back to a previous video we watched about the brand value equation, then they need to convince them that there's more positives than negatives with using their brand. So what do heavy users and non-users look like? I could show you pictures of medium and light users, but it's fairly difficult to really identify these people. Heavy users, however, are easily identified. Someone who's always into Star Trek will consume a lot of Star Trek gear and paraphernalia. Those are heavy users, right? They're huge fans, and so fans are often what we consider heavy users. You can be a fan of a sports team, or you can be a fan of a product. Right? They're really the same thing, but heavy users will repeat their purchases of that specific brand over and over again. Now, how about non-users? Well, the best example I could think of is my grandmother trying to use the computer. Now, this isn't a picture of my grandmother, but you can imagine, right? Older generations trying to use technology for the first time, marketers really need to convince them that it's worthwhile, that it's useful, because these generations have a difficult time in using these kind of products, and they might just be phoning their grandchildren to ask them. So, again, a consumer profile is composed of demographics, psychographics, geographics, and product use. And differentiating consumers along these lines allow marketers to target a specific consumer effectively. So think about it. What are your psychographics? What are your geographics? What is your product use of various products? By identifying this, you will understand exactly what type of consumer you are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's all. That's everything for today. Make sure your notes are in order, and we'll see you tomorrow.